This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. Welcome to our flower series. In this video, we're going to be teaching you how to pipe buttercream carnations. The video is broken down into steps so you can rewind, skip ahead, or rewatch as desired. We're going to get started making the colors for our carnations, and the first thing I'm going to do is make just a little bit of purple. So I've got some American style or simple style buttercream in my bowl, and I'm just going to give myself a couple of drops of purple, not really trying to make any specific color. I just want it to stand out and read well on camera. So it's easy for you all to see all the fun little lines and ruffles. And just to change the tone a little bit, I'm going to give it a drop of royal. I think that's going to be great. That gives us a nice fun shade of purple with just a little bit of a different tone because of the royal we added into it. And next, we're going to make just a tiny touch of green. So we want to have just a little bit of green for a sepal sticking out from underneath. For that, we're going to use our royal again and also some lemon yellow. So let's start with the yellow. Just give it 2 and 1. And I like mixing my greens because it really allows me to change up the colors and make a wide variety of different hues versus just buying green. You'll get that nice kind of standard leaf green, and then you can change it if you want to do that. But I find it's just as easy just to mix them up really quickly. And I like that, but it's a little too bright with the yellow, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more blue. I want it to stand out next to my purple, but I don't really want it to draw attention away. There we go. And that's perfect. That's a little bit more of a kind of leaf green. I think I like where that's going. It's got a little bit of a kind of Kelly green vibe to it, which is fantastic. So there we have our 2 colors for our carnations. So here are the 2 bags and tips we're going to use for this flower. We have a 124K, so that is one of those slim opening Korean style petal tips for our purple. And we're using a 352, so one of those V-shaped openings for our leaves. And we're going to use those to create the sepals underneath the flowers. So let's talk about the different techniques that we're going to use to create these blossoms. We're going to use 2 different movements to create the petals, and then 1 for our sepals. So we're going to grab our bag with our 124K, and we're going to create some fan-shaped petals and some folded ruffly ones. For the fans, we're going to lay the tip so that it's pretty much flat against the surface, the wider portion towards the center. We're going to pull out and then just ruffle till we get a nice wriggly line on the edge and pull back. And then we're going to make what I call folded petals where we keep that fat end close to the surface, but we'll start to make these great little folds and draw them and pull that skinny end up off the surface. So you think about it like creating ruffles or folds, and you just want to do something nice and organic, and we're looking to create some volume with that and those nice crinkles and ruffles, and you can see those nice beautiful ruffly petals on carnations. So we're going to create these little mounds of ruffles all the way around to help create the body of those carnations. And finally, we're going to add some sepals to help give our flowers a little bit of stability and also give us a little pop of green underneath. We're going to do leaves, but instead of doing a regular leaf that'll be fat and then skinny, right? So almost triangular in shape and stand up, we're going to go kind of flat against the surface and pull them kind of long and narrow. So they're going to kind of nest against our fan-shaped petals. So we just want to go nice steady rate and pull it flat against the surface like this. So it's one of the reasons I love these 352 tips. You can use them to create a bunch of different types of leaves and other details when you're doing floral designs. And this is optional. You don't necessarily have to do the green. You could always fill in that space with purple, but I find it gives it a little pop of color and a little interest, and I like the way it looks. So now that we've talked about this, let's talk about how we put it together before we go to practicing on our flower nail. So let's talk about building our carnation blossoms. Our first step is going to be to pipe 3 of those fan shapes, right? So those nice leaves that are going to be flat against the surface. I'm not going to worry if there's a little bit of a void in the middle. I can always fill that in with my green. But the next thing I'm going to do is pipe my leaves. Now, if you're not going to do the green, if you don't want to mess with that and you just want to do one color, pipe some smaller fans in between there, anything to kind of fill in this space and help give those flowers stability. We're going to be chilling them and then moving them to a cake later because we're creating these on our flower nail. So we want to create something that's easy to lift. If there's too much a gap in here, it might be a little bit of a problem. If you're just going directly on a cake or cupcake or another surface and you don't have to move them around, then you can always just skip that without filling it in. So just some things to think about. Once we have this base that'll kind of form a nice little circle for us, we're going to start piping those folded petals in there. So typically I just start in between 2 of my fan shapes and I'll go over my little sepal, just leaving a little bit sticking out, and start creating those fan shaped wedges. I'll go all the way around and then I'll start filling in the middle wherever I need to. And a lot of times my last one is just a little wrinkly line just to fill in wherever there was a gap. So it's one of those things where it's kind of organic and there's a method to it, but it's not really exact. Every single one is going to be just a touch different, and it'll help make them unique and more lifelike. So now that we've talked about it, we're going to go ahead, bring out our flower nail and some papers and give this a practice. So we've got our flower nail out, we've got a little bit of paper stuck down to it. I always just use a tiny bit of buttercream. And we're going to start with our bag with our 124K. We are going to start with the fat end of the tip almost towards the middle, just a little bit of a gap. And we're just going to create 3 of those little fan-shaped petals with those beautiful ruffles on the edge, right? And almost like a peace sign pattern. So if you need to, you can always mark your placement with just a little bit of dab. And we're going to leave just a little bit of a gap in between where we're going to put those sepals. Beautiful. So you can see, nice and easy. Now I'm just going to go in, draw my long skinny petals, and I just want the tip to kind of extend past where that curve, if I'm drawing a circle all the way around where that circumference is, so that those little sepals will stick out just a tiny bit underneath. And you can see by piping really close to the center, you're filling in the whole center and you're making a nice stable flower that then when you go to move it is going to be nice and easy to transfer to your cake. So once we've got that ready, just going to grab a hold of my bag of purple. And I'm going to start filling in with some nice fan shapes. So I'm just going to start right here on this outside edge. Nice, let it wave back and forth. And you can see that builds up a nice petal and it's starting to give us a nice mound shape. And then we're just going to go all the way around. So I always go over some, let it wrinkle, and then build up. So you want to build up a base for each of those little fans. So let it wrinkle, wave it up and down a bit, go over, and then go back. And as you're going around, if you need to, fill in with any little wriggly lines. So as I'm coming to the back side, I'm just going to be careful of where the back end of my tip is. And I'm just going to fill in any little area that I need to create a nice, beautiful, ruffly carnation. And you can see that gives us a wonderful looking flower. It's got lots of folds and ruffles. They're really easy to create. It's a nice organic feel, and they look wonderful on cakes. And they're a nice, easy one if you haven't used these tips before, to just get a handle on it and get a feel for it, because the petals are kind of indistinct, right? You can just create whatever beautiful patterns that you want to, and it's a lovely, ruffly, wrinkled design. They're easy to execute, and they're a lovely decoration on a cake or cupcake. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more about the cake decorating materials and equipment we use, or just some inspirational videos about cake decorating itself, you can follow us on Insta or YouTube at Cake Decorating School. If you'd like to know more about yearly membership and what it entails, you can go to www.cakedecoratingschool.com for more information. And if you're interested in these products, you can check the links in the description.